Black Clover has some very hype-ass fights. I mean, in the manga right now, we are coming off this crazy-ass fight against this fucking 5-headed dragon. But you can't talk about hype fights without talking about Asta, Yuno, and Yami versus Zagreus, which made me pick up the fucking manga from the anime. It was that good. But there's also Dante versus Asta and Yami, when the motherfucker passes the katana to Asta and he slices that bitch. And then there's Lucifero with the rawest panel in existence. There's a lot of good fights in Black Clover, but the best one, in my opinion, doesn't even involve the protagonist. In fact, it involves one of the most underwhelming characters in the Black Bulls, Magna. Even in such a trope and cliche dense manga, Magna was a little too basic. He's the classic tough guy with nothing but guts. Asta is very similar, but the two aren't comparable as the series didn't give him nearly as much time as Asta to be fleshed out. Even so, comparing him to his fellow side characters, he just isn't as interesting as the others. I am much more intrigued to witness Nozelle's past, Luck's power-ups, and honestly, the majority of the Black Bulls. I think they're all more interesting and entertaining. Now, with how the story is constructed, a lot of characters, even major ones, don't get a lot of development, and when they do, it's usually in the form of a backstory that ranges from mediocre to pretty amazing. However, Magna doesn't even get a chance to roll the dice because, at least to my knowledge, there's never been a dedicated backstory regarding him. But as the story progresses, Tabata has already established many characters in their backstories, personalities, weaknesses, fears, insecurities, such and such and such. And so he can really focus on fully fleshing out those established characters. Enter the Magna versus Dante fight. Dante's at 100% synergy with Lucifero and is basically OP as fuck, which explains why Jack is getting his ass whooped. So, who comes to save the day? Zora and Magna. Okay, no offense, but what's y'all gonna do? Zora has trap magic, which is pretty cool. He uses it in a unique way, and it's interesting. It might be able to do something here, but Magna? His fire abilities are just basic. Fireballs, and more fireballs. His arsenal is pretty mundane. I don't know what he's gonna do in this situation. Until now, Magna was probably the weakest Black Bull. Gray can now transmutate the very material of things. His rival Luck can transform to pure lightning, and Gordon, well, there's an argument to be made there, but his magic seems to be more versatile. Hell, even Asta, the guy with no magic, has anti-magic. Essentially, he is the epitome of untalented. So, what does Magna really have? Well, it's the core of his character, the one that has been repeated over and over again. Guts. Pure, unadulterated bravado and perseverance, and that is seen in his new ability, Soul Chain Deathmatch. This fucking ability is the perfect skill for Magna. It generates a chain between the user and the opponent, linking their souls, hence Soul Chain Deathmatch. The total magic power between the two are split evenly, meaning that both are evenly matched in terms of magical power. Although magic attributes like super regeneration remains intact, the pool of magic it takes from is, again, limited, which means that the deciding factor for victory is, you guessed it, guts. Even though Dante is spitting his arrogant bullshit, straight swagging out, Magna gets his flashback power up, and blow after blow after blow, this man does not stop. He does not fucking yield, and in the end, he comes out victorious. Part of Magna's gutsy commoner persona is that he's kinda stupid, or at least dull and not fit for thinking for long periods of time. So, when he spends months on just one single spell that takes an extreme amount of study and mathematics and just plain boring shit, it's indicative of his character development. His desire to not burden the Black Bulls hardens his resolve, enough to destroy his previously narrow-mindedness and achieve heights that far exceed expectations. I also love how his ability wasn't just a random power-up. It takes an entire training arc, a whole 6 months to obtain. It's a testament to the amount of effort he put in. Dante symbolizes the gap between the strong and the weak. He is the being representing total magical dominance, a person who was meant to rule the entire fucking world. And Magna just punches that shit, both literally and metaphorically. His character arc is all about overcoming the stigma surrounding him. He's a peasant, a peon, a fucking weakling with no power, and yet he has the guts to conquer those preconceptions. I think that's inspiring.